Have you ever sometimes felt like your spiritual practice is more of an effort? Like maybe something that worked before doesn't work now or doesn't always work for you? If so, that may be why you attracted this video to you today. Welcome to another dojo topic. Today we're going to be talking about moving through the koshas. So with that, I am going to share my screen with you and tell you welcome to the dojo. I'm so happy you're here. We meet live every Tuesday, and if you're unable to join us live, I'm really happy that you found this video that discusses the topic we went over today. So if you were able to join us last week, you'll know that our topic for last week was declining emotional invitations for overwhelm. So if you were unable to join us last week or you've not yet seen the video, I will put a link to that video at the end of this video. But today we're going to be talking about moving through the koshas. And one of the things that I'm so excited about this topic is because one of the reasons I'm so excited about this topic is because when I understood this, it made so much more sense to how things are working. Um, just everything, mental, physical, spiritual, it made more sense to me. It kind of like wrapped it all together and tied it up in a nice little bow. So I'm hoping that it will do the same for you. So let's get started. Using the metaphor of nesting dolls, according to yogic philosophy, the five koshas are the five sheaths or layers of being, the different dimensions or frequencies of human experience, from the most subtle to the most physical. The journey of self-awareness involves consciously moving through these layers of understanding and moving through these layers to understand their nature, observe their functions, and ultimately transcend identification with them to rest as the true self. So this is the name of the ancient yogic text that the koshas describe five sheaths of existence that obscure the true self. Gaining knowledge of these layers is valuable because it illuminates the source of our deepest held beliefs, patterns, and behaviors, and it serves as a holistic map for wellness. Understanding the koshas provides a complete model for well-being that addresses the physical, energetic, psychological, and spiritual aspects of a person. It helps identify the root causes of imbalances, whether they stem from poor diet, blocked energy, or negative thought patterns. One of the people that I follow on YouTube, and I will put the link in the description, is David Bingham. And David Bingham teaches us that it's important to be discriminating and use your own intuition when listening to information about the koshas, because it's often taught in reverse order, beginning with the physical body and moving to the body of bliss, which is trying to say that we as the human being um, start as the human being. And if we're very good, we can move through the more subtle realms until we found our infinite nature. But that's reverse, that's inverted. We are the infinite, timeless, imperturbable being. Nothing can ever change that. So the first kosha is the body of bliss, the layer closest to the true self. Bliss is evident in young children. The bliss sheath is associated with profound peace, joy, and a deep sense of wholeness that transcends temporary emotions. Most children are in a state of bliss. And I'm sure if you think about it, you can think of times when you just felt so blissful, blissfully happy. What is that feeling or sensation? What is it like in the body? What does that feel like? How do you embody that body of bliss? The next is the body of wisdom. The wisdom sheath or layer is the causal realm or frequency of effortless being, where all forms can arise equally and effortlessly with no judgment and no discrimination. They all arise effortlessly. Forms can be thoughts, emotions, sensations, perceptions, or feelings, and they're all arising effortlessly. It is the inner witness that is aware of the functions of the other layers without judgment. Just think about that. This is the witness, the awareness of the functions of the other layers without judgment. We are aware of them in the infinite impersonal field of beingness or awareness. This is what we truly are. We are the impersonal being, the impersonal field of being that is infinite, timeless, omnipotent, omnipresent, effortless being. Children move from bliss to wisdom as they become aware of forms arising effortlessly and equally. There could be a sound of a car going by, the wind in the trees, feeling of hunger, the sound of voices, maybe people or on the TV, and they're all initially experienced equally for young children. At this stage, they have not yet begun to personalize forms arising yet. Everything is still impersonal until there is an appearance of the body-mind. Gradually, through conditioning, mainly from parents and close relatives or family members, the use of language creates an experience of limitation. We begin to see others talking as if they really are existing from a personal mode of experience. And at some point, at that age, we begin to play along while maintaining the knowledge of our true impersonal nature. David explains it where we see it as a game, and we look at people and we say, oh, look, they're playing this game. Well, I know that I'm the infinite field of awareness, so I think I'll play along with them. I think I'll be part of this. But as we play along with that, and it just seems to be a game, we begin to notice human attributes, such as the color of the hair, the color of the eyes, the name we're called, likes, dislikes, and we hear parents and others describing things in a particular way, and then we begin to identify with personalization even more. Through language and watching what others are doing and saying, we become familiar with personalization, and then we become competent at following the same game they're playing. Usually by the age of 2, we lose awareness of our impersonal, infinite ocean of being. Even though we continue to remain as that, and we enter into a predominant mode of believing we are the human mode, and everything outside the human body has nothing to do with us, and that it's totally separate. Now, although anyone who has ever done any kind of inner work or spiritual work may already know this, you may not have had it explained to you using the koshas. Regardless of what's happening by the age of 2, we still remain, always and forever, as the infinite, effortless field of awareness. Everything is still a unified field and is still appearing in unity. Every object, every form, every experience is still arising within the infinite being that you've always been. There has never been a separation. We can notice this in any given moment. We can notice every sound, taste, image, experience, or sensation. We can just realize they're like waves appearing on the infinite, impersonal ocean of beingness, which we always remain as. There is only one unity consciousness, but there is the option for the subject-object mode, and most humans have gotten very good at playing this game. It's only a mode of experience, but shouldn't be primary. What should be primary is unity consciousness. The experience of the essence of self is really the experience of unity consciousness. But the perceived experience of separation belongs to the next kosha, which is the body of mind. The mind is a dualistic instrument, and the mind needs to be present to play the game of duality. We enter into this by making comparisons to objects, experiences, thoughts, emotions, and preferring one over the other. The more deeply we move into duality, the more extreme the experiences can become, which can result in conflict. The mental realm is only entered into by invitation. Everything is an invitation we consent to. The mind is a tool to create the life you want. Thinking was made for you to order what you want, not to indulge in the mind. The mind is there to receive the order and make it appear for you. Thinking isn't needed for anything else because everything else is taken care of by awareness. We consent to the subject-object mode, we consent to the dualistic experience, and then we become familiar with each of these different modes with the next kosha known as the etheric realm, the emotional realm known as the body of breath. This is a vibrational body. The etheric realm is very similar to the physical realm in terms of forms, without the physical component, and it exists on a more subtle level. Where there's mind predominance, the emotions tend to be closely related to the turbulence of the mind. The turbulence in the mind usually results into the turbulence in the emotions, and those collide with the physical body, known as the fifth kosha, or the physical body, comprised of food and matter. It includes everything visible and tangible about ourselves, such as flesh, bone, and skin, and is nourished by the food we consume and body movement. In the physical realm, we can experience things like physical pleasure or physical pain, heat and cold, and physical exercise. Now, it's important to remember that each of these koshas, we have the ability to rest as the infinite being, to rest as awareness, or to get more emotionally involved with it, more physically involved with it. So there are layers in all of these sheaths. There are layers of the sheath, but there are also layers of how we want to get involved with that. The thing to learn about the koshas is it's an opportunity to make the most progressive and happiest experience that exists in the second kosha. The second kosha, or the body of wisdom, is the effortless being. So when we rest as effortless being, then elements like telepathy, synchronicity, inspiration, or intuition can all arise, like waves in an ocean in the present moment. So when you think about this, and you're thinking about the different koshas, you can remain as neutral. You can be neutral about everything when forms are arising, thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, experiences. They're all arising effortlessly in neutrality. And then depending on the energy you put towards it, is going to depend on the outcome. Because the body of wisdom is a unified field of experience, all forms can arise equally right there in that form. We are given the options within that realm pertaining to duality. So it's a much clearer way to function, and we're able to access infinite intelligence in the body of wisdom because our true infinite nature is infinitely intelligent, and we can align with that intelligence, which is a smoother path of life with less contrast. And you can go back and look at, we do have another topic on duality. So if you're wondering, like, what does that mean, duality? I've explained that in a previous topic. So if that's something that you want a little more clarification on, you can go back and look at that. But in biblical terms, this field of experience where all forms are rising equally is referred to as returning to the Garden of Eden. Because eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil refers to entering into the body of mind, which is the dualistic mind. Remember, it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just simply forms arising and then the energy that you're giving it. So if you're looking at something and you're saying, okay, well, this is being noticed, how do I want to go about this? And what energy are you going to give it? That's the dualistic mind. Plays a very important part. This is what gives you the power to make the decisions. How are you going to move forward? And when you keep from personalizing it, then you can stay out of the dualistic mind and into non-duality. But when you're in the dualistic mind, that's where judgment happens, such as this is good, this is bad, I like this, I don't like that. Learning to function from the body of wisdom is the return to the Garden of Eden because infinite intelligence takes care of us, and we don't need to assume responsibility for all the day-to-day care that most people are conditioned to believe they need to accept. This is what makes life more harmonious because the emotions settle and the mind becomes clearer. The mind comes into alignment with the body of wisdom when we're functioning primarily from the body of wisdom as effortless being. The emotions settle because they're not following the turbulent mind. The emotions then become more of a guidance system because they support things like intuition or inspiration. And I'm sure you've all had that, like, well, something told me to do this or go that way or go here, go there. That's your inspiration, and that's this guidance system that you're being guided by, and that is more prevalent when you allow that to be. And then if something is arising that gives us a high frequency experience, then there's a corresponding emotion that relates to that. The emotions become much clearer and more settled because both the mind and the emotions settle when we function primarily as effortless being. The physical body also becomes healthier because many of the ailments experienced in the physical sheath are a result of mental or emotional turbulence. This is the health benefit of consciously functioning from the koshas. The thing to know about the five koshas is that they are always available to us. Many people believe they're locked in the physical realm, but they never really are. We always remain as the infinite being. An infinite being has the option to be able to experience through each of these five koshas. So think about it. We are attributeless being. Our true nature is attributeless being. It's infinite potential. Attributeless is like a movie screen. You can project anything onto the screen, but the screen itself has no attributes. There's nothing there. The koshas, or sheaths of consciousness, are different realms or bodies depicting different frequencies that give us the option for different experiences. So we can function primarily through the physical body. We can function or project our consciousness through the emotional body, through the mental body, through the body of wisdom, or through the body of bliss. The body of bliss becomes more available to us the more we become aware of functioning through effortless being, because effortless being tends to create higher frequencies of experience, and those high frequencies are usually the portal into the body of bliss. The body of bliss is very closely aligned with our infinite nature of attributeless being. But everything must be relinquished first, because you can't take anything, even love or compassion, into the body of bliss, because the body of bliss is self-contained. By learning to function from the body of wisdom as effortless being and returning to the Garden of Eden, we create stability, because even though all forms are appearing within the body of wisdom, they're appearing in neutrality. So we're not disturbed by them, and they create a solid foundation we can experience from. And then the mind, emotions, and physical realm all become in service to the effortless nature instead of in opposition in any way. Because we're often playing a game of hide and seek with the infinite self. It's often inverted in the way that we think like all the negatives are the normal instead of all the positives are the normal. Like if you've ever said, oh my gosh, this was a miracle. It just happened out of the blue. I can't believe it. Well, that's how our life is supposed to be all the time. Just blissful like that. But instead, we've inverted it and we think those are the off things, like the one-offs. Like when that happens, like, whoa, once in a blue moon, man, that happens. But really, that's the opportunity that we have to live by in any given moment. We remain as the infinite being. We never leave the infinite being. We can't go anywhere else or do anything else. All we can do is pretend. We can project our consciousness through these different sheaths, and we can have different experiences, but we're only looking into those realms. We're not actually present within them because we remain our and maintain our status as the infinite being. Even with the physical realm, the physical body is available to us. It sits on a seat or lays on the ground, but it's actually a vehicle we're looking through. We're looking through the eyes of it and have virtual reality elements like the hands and feet that we can do things with. We have the senses available to us, but we never enter into the realm. We're only looking into them. And that's really liberating to know because a lot of the intensity of the human realm is about identifying with the body and believing we are the body, and then having the intensity of that experience, which isn't true because the physical body belongs to the physical realm, the mind belongs to the mental realm, the emotions belong to the etheric realm, and we belong to the infinite realm, which is the infinite being, the infinite, timeless, imperturbable being. And that's a peaceful place to be. That's what we discussed today at the dojo. So, what are you thinking now? Like, what are the thoughts going through your head? For me, when I learned this, and it doesn't mean like the first time I heard it, that it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, I really had to pay attention and um, understand like how they all relate to each other. But everybody comes to this knowledge, this understanding at their own pace. So if you want any kind of support with this, please visit me at masteringyourbeliefs.com. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller, the one and only Life Sensei, saying ciao for now.